Misplaced taqwa. So one of the greatest mistakes that a person can make is to mix up their priorities. So many times we find people discussing and debating secondary matters whilst neglecting their primary obligations, or whilst being involved in major haram acts. So that is misplaced taqwa. A person needs to know what he should be doing at what time, what is more important for you to do right now, and what is less important. An example of this is the Khawarij. They had captured Abdullah ibn Khabbab ibn al-Arat radiyallahu anhu, and whilst traveling they found a date had fallen from a tree, and so one of them picked it up and put it in his mouth. So another one of them said to him that how can you eat this when you don't know whose it is? It could be one of the mu'ahids. Mu'ahids meaning a non-Muslim who is living in your land, and he has the covenant of protection. Okay, so if you have eaten this date, and it could be belonging to a non-Muslim, and you don't have a permission, so how can you eat this? So the person who had it in their mouth took out the date. So whilst listening to this, Abdullah ibn Khabbab ibn Arat said to them that, should I not tell you about something which is worse than this? Meaning, should I tell you about something which is worse than eating a date which has fallen down? He said, killing me. Meaning that is worse, of course. So when they heard this, they became enraged. They jumped upon him and they killed him. And he had his wife with him. She was pregnant. They cut open her stomach and also they killed her. So that is, now just imagine that this nonsensical to focus and worry about whether we should be eating a date which has fallen down. At the same time, you are not worrying about committing murder. Okay, so another person came to Abdullah bin Umar radiyallahu anhuma, and he asked him, is it allowed to kill a mosquito whilst in the state of ihram? So Abdullah bin Umar radiyallahu anhuma asked him, where are you from? He said, from Iraq. So Abdullah bin Umar radiyallahu anhuma said in astonishment that, look at him, they are asking about killing a mosquito, whereas they have killed the grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I have heard Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying that them two, yani Hazrat Hassan and Hazrat Hussein radiyallahu anhuma, they are my fragrances of this world. So again here, this person is worrying about whether it's okay to kill a mosquito or not. So although in itself, yes, it's a question, and it's a valid question of fiqh, there's no doubt about that. But what Hazrat Abdullah bin Umar radiyallahu anhu was saying is that they have mixed up priorities. The real priority, the big sin, would be to kill the grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yet they're not worrying about that, but they are worrying about killing a mosquito. So likewise, we find people who are praying tahajjud because they need something, they need a dua accepting, or they've heard that tahajjud is very beloved to Allah, so they pray tahajjud. Yet the same people, if you ask them, have you prayed your 5 prayers? Many times they'll say, no, I was busy at work, I was busy at college, I was busy here, I was busy there. The priority is your 5 times prayer. Tahajjud is not your priority. Allah will ask you on the day of judgment about your 5 prayers. When you die, you will be asked about that. You will not be asked about tahajjud. You should only be focusing on tahajjud if you already fulfill the obligations that Allah has set upon you. Similarly, a person, in some cultures, hijab is so important, but salah is not. So everybody has to wear the hijab. It's very important. If you don't, then you are considered very immodest. But yet the same people will be neglecting the salah. Now, hijab on its own, yes, is compulsory. It's very important. However, what is more important? More important is your salah. Why? Salah is one of the pillars of Islam, and hijab is an obligation of Islam. It's not a pillar of Islam. At the same time, we can have another have a look at something else. A person who is not wearing the hijab, even though it's compulsory, but yet they will be asking about whether it's okay for me to trim my hair during the first 10 days of the hijab because I'm due to offer qurbani. So that doesn't make sense, because this person, for example, is not wearing your hijab, wearing makeup, going out. These things are completely haram. But you're not worrying about that. What you are worrying about, will it be sinful if I trim my hair in Dhul Hijjah? These are minor matters. It's ridiculous to be worrying about this whilst you're doing that. whilst you're engaged in completely haram acts, you need to be careful of that. So the first priorities that we should prioritize are the 5 pillars. Now, we should not be looking at what is important in our culture, what is important in my town, what is important in my country, in my village. We need to look at what is the priority in Islam. What does Allah say? What does the Prophet ﷺ say? And the first priority is the 5 pillars of Islam. Okay. Secondly, then we go on to all the rest of the obligations. So the things that Allah has ordered us to do, all the obligations, the awamir, and then we need to stay away from the prohibitions. So for example, all the haram acts. So like listening to music. You know, if you're listening to music all the time, but then you're asking about, can I do this matter? It's, you know, I heard it's disliked. It doesn't matter. Why are you focusing on that? You need to focus on, you know, leaving the haram thing that you're doing. So taqwa is not about focusing on these minor details like the Khawarij did. Rather, taqwa is to realize and act upon the priorities that Allah has given us according to what He has given us.